Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Elana Justin from Motive Black to the program today. How you doing, Elana?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I have had opportunity to listen to the album Auburn, which came out February 10th on AFM Records, if I'm correct.
Hmm.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
Um, who's who of people involved with this album? You had Nick Rowe produce, who's worked with everybody from Lamb of God to Madonna. You got the band name from Dave Buckner from Papa Roach.
Hmm.
You had Marcos from POD play on Broken. Ray Luzier drums. Carla Harvey duetted with you on Lift Me Up. Was there anyone you didn't get to work with you hope to on this album?
Honestly, each person was sort of a surprise and very exciting. I didn't originally think I'd be working with anyone. I mean, I knew I'd work with Nick because I bothered him until he would work with me. But
Right.
aside from that, it was sort of just like the right time, right place sort of stuff. Like as far as like Ray, um, the guy who mixed my album, Josh Wilbur, who's also, involved with the album, kind of connected me with Nick in the beginning. He just happened to be working with Corin at the same time as we were like throwing a few songs at him to see if what he thought of the direction we were going. And he was like, I'm gonna send this and see if like Ray would be interested. So it was just really a lot of stuff like that, like just people working with certain people that at the right time, right place.
And then it was your manager who was having dinner one night with Carla or something. Did I read that?
Yeah, he was at a dinner with Carla, and we were looking for like a female feature on Lift Me Up, because kind of like a powerful song, and I wanted like a strong, woman on it. And it just so happened he was at dinner and played it for her, and she was interested, which was awesome. And that
Yeah.
was kind of cool because she and I didn't actually get to meet in person until the filming of the music video because of COVID and all different things. I sent her the song and she recorded her part in Chicago.
Cool. Let's get into some of the songs. I mean, I got a bunch of stuff to chat with you about, but I kind of want to get into the songs, seeing as how you brought up the video for that, and that's the first track on the album is Lift Me Up. Um, Great video for that. Where did you guys get that convertible Firebird?
So the guy who directed the film, Dale Restaghini, he did my Broken video as well.
Yeah,
He, I guess, knew someone that had the car because we were on a very limited budget. We were using like space that other people were using. We shot the whole thing in like 5 hours.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, someone had it and he was able to get it.
That must have been pretty cool to drive that.
Well, Carla drove it. I didn't
Oh, sorry,
drive it. But
Carla
that's
did
probably
drive,
for
didn't
the
she?
best.
Yes, all right. Yeah, all right. I've got you two mixed up. Yes. Yeah, she did get to drive. It must have been exciting for her then to drive it.
Yeah, she's a big car buff, so I
Cool.
think she enjoyed it.
I got to tell you, when you two get out of that car, this is probably the dumbest question you've ever been asked. Do you follow pro wrestling at all?
I did a long, long time ago.
Well, there's this one girl now in this one thing called AEW. It's an offshoot. It's not WWE, it's another brand. There's
Mhm.
this one girl on there. You get out of the car and you look just like her. Your presence is like you two get out of there. You two should become a tag team and go into women's wrestling. You've got a great look and a great presence for it. It's phenomenal.
I got to
Um,
get back into watching wrestling. It's always
yeah,
entertaining.
it's the athleticism all today is completely off the charts. The storytelling isn't as good as the old days, but the athleticism that these people are doing nowadays is incredible. But tell us a little bit about Lift Me Up.
So Lift Me Up was the first song that I actually recorded after getting signed. I did half the album first, and then COVID sort of hit, and I thought the whole project was dead. And then I got signed and got some funding, and Lift Me Up was just like a fun kind of badass song. It was really fun to write. I think we did it pretty quickly because we had like a lot of momentum. We had like this whole new group of stuff to work on. And I really think Carla, like, it was so cool to have someone, because I'm a fan of Butcher Baby. So to have such like a badass woman like killing it in this industry on the song really was really awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Now you and Nick wrote most of the songs, correct? Or did you write them and he just sort of helped you flesh them out?
Nick and I co-wrote all the songs.
Okay. Okay, cool. Broken. Now this one goes back a little bit, right? Was this released as a single,
Mhm.
then it made the album? This one's
Yeah.
been around a little bit. I like it. It's heavy, but there's a melody there, especially with on your vocal melody. You know, it's got some great melody, but it's a heavy, heavy tune. Um, give us a little bit of the story behind this.
So Broken, I wrote it, I think it was actually maybe the least heavy of the songs we had worked up to that point. I think I did like, um, yeah, I think I did Cellophane before Broken. But it was sort of, we were stuck on another song and we were like kind of just like thinking of like new little melodies and stuff and messing around. And this one just came out really easily and flowed and sort of just naturally became about what I was sort of doing at the time. The song is about like realizing that you have these walls and sort of living but not really thriving, because you sort of have boxed yourself into this protection mode and sort of breaking through and kind of the pull and back and forth with that.
Mm,
um
cool.
but it's like a catchy little tune, so it's
Yeah,
about like real stuff, but it's kind of was fun to sing, so it was a nice mixture.
nice. Gonna jump to track four, Caged. I'm just reading my notes that I made as I was listening to this. First thing I've got is what a riff. I love the midsection breakdown, sort of a quick hitter. And the line I liked in this was, "I set the rope on fire, stormed the door, and watched the velvet burn." That's
Mm-hmm.
let's tell. I mean, where I can't write songs to save myself. I can talk, but I can't write. How do you come up with? I mean, that's like a phenomenal line.
Oh,
Where's that come
thank
from?
you. Thank you. So it sort of came actually really quickly, that line, when I was thinking about what I wanted the song to be about, sort of being held back and finally being able to break free and like not care. And it's your turn to like be in front and do the things you wanted to do after being held back. And I just thought, had like, I think very visually. And I just thought of like, people waiting in line to get into a place, and this like this like static that's there, and just like I
Mm,
just had the image of like setting a velvet rope on fire.
wow, that's very, very cool. Now, I talk about the riff. You use different studio players throughout the album. You know, like we know
No,
Marco's played
Nick
on one,
plays
but was it different
Nick.
people?
No, Nick played most of it. Aside from Ray and Marcos coming in, Nick played everything.
Nick played everything. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
all
we did
right.
it literally in his garage studio, the majority of the album.
Wow, wow, very, very cool.
Yeah.
Um, Now going forward, is he going to continue to play with you, or are you trying to get players, for like tour and stuff like that?
No, I have a band together now for touring. Nick is more, I think his heart is more in production now.
Hmm.
But when we first got the song up, though, he's in the Broken video. When we first started like got these like up on a stage, he
Right.
played. But now I have a new lineup, and I'm sure I'll work with Nick on the next album, but the players are different now.
Cool. Track five, Purge. Here's another line. I love this. I like that mean love that hurts just right. That is so cool.
I think that's sort of like an addicting feeling for people, like kind of those toxic relationships that are like full of fire and passion, and like probably not longevity for is probably the best,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's that feeling, kind of that like
yeah.
aggressive kind of love where you're either fighting or having like making up, or usually
Right.
very passionate. And just, I think a lot of us sometimes like people who aren't very nice to us.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I've been there a few times.
Yeah, right.
And then you ask yourself, why? What was I
Yeah,
thinking,
always. It's the sex
Um,
man.
yeah, exactly. Um, Track six, Cellophane. I found this whole lyric powerful. Now, you said you did this one before you did Broken?
I think they were around similar times. It might have been right before I can't. I think it was right before I wrote Broken. I did Cellophane.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about Cellophane. I love the title. That's cool. You don't hear that word all that often in a song.
Yeah, it was like another one of those, I like thinking very visually, like um so that was I wrote that it's inspired by a few things, and I'm not going to specifically name the people that's inspired by, but
Sure.
it had a little bit of I kind of made it was the person I'm aiming it at is like a conglomerate of like personal people and some political figures I'm not very fond of.
Okay.
And this is what came. It was a very angry song. It felt really good to record.
Yeah. Cool.
And
Excellent.
it was great to write those kind of lyrics. It's fun to like, feel like you're tearing at something when you're writing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of like a catharsis sort of thing, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Track 7, Bad Decision. Here I want to talk about the music. I hear, to me, this sounded very Nine Inch Nail-ish, especially on the intro.
Yeah, and I was listening to like Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson and stuff when we were talking about this song. So it definitely has like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's like a sexy, fun, like, song.
Yeah. Here I've seen both those in concert. They were fabulous. I saw Nine Inch Nails first on the Fragile tour, and then I saw Marilyn Manson after that, and incredible shows, both of
Oh,
those.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Track 8, Fate. Um, Burner as my note. Favorite tune on the album. And another line that just jumped out at me was Poison Affection, Now Feel the Rejection. Another one of those songs, they're almost similar to like Purge, you know?
Mhm.
Um, tell
Yeah,
me a little bit.
definitely. I get a lot of my like emotional, like aggressive fulfillment through writing and through performing. In general, I'm a pretty laid back person, but I
Yeah.
just like when you're writing, you can be so the extreme of what you want to say,
hmm do you almost sort of like slip into character, into like a
Definitely.
character? Yeah.
It definitely it's a character, but it is me. Like
Right.
but it's definitely a different vibe. Like it's funny whenever I meet people in person versus when they see me on stage, they're like, "The fuck did I just see?"
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Gonna skip to the last track, Auburn. This was like, I mean, I could tell it, I mean, obviously it's a very personal song.
Mhm.
Um, the lyric in here that I liked was "Time to Sew My Heart Closed." That was just, you know, talk whatever you want to say about Auburn.
Auburn was, I mean, the reason this album even came to be is because I decided to make a very abrupt life change, move to California, and like sort of start everything all over again. And
Mm,
this sort of the thing that inspired that was my sister. I lost my sister. She lost her battle with addiction.
mm,
And it sort of made me reevaluate how I was living my life. So this song is a tribute to her. She had red hair. The album is inspired by her.
yeah,
And that's what it is. I think I've actually been really, it's been cool to hear how people are relate to the song, whether they've lost someone to addiction or something. I mean, any lost them in any way, even just like emotionally lost somebody. I think it's really awesome to have it speak to people, which has been pretty exciting. And I hadn't really experienced putting something so personal out before and having such a nice response or like just a real response.
yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, in listening to the album, like I said, let me go back to my notes here. So, Fake, I loved. Cellophane, I loved, and I loved You and Carla and Lift Me Up. But when I got to this one, there's like music you feel it in you hear it in your ears. Your heart races and stuff. But Auburn was one you kind of feel like in your soul. When I got
Mhm.
to that one. Oh,
Yeah, that one, speaking of, that was a cathartic one. Recording it was a little tricky because with these kind of songs, I think when you write something that really like triggers your heart in a certain way, you have to rehearse the shit out of it because that song even still catches me sometimes. Like I'll be performing it or even during the recording, it was still very fresh.
mm,
um, you kind of lose control of your emotions a little bit. So
yeah,
there's this kind of give and pull when performing that song. Like you want to, I really love losing myself in every song as I perform it, which kind of leads into that character kind of vibe.
hmm
But with this song, it's so raw that I have to be very careful with it when I perform it.
yeah. I believe it. I believe it. I mean, especially like, say, if you look out in the audience, and you see somebody with a tear in their eye,
Yeah.
you realize you've you've achieved what you're hoping to with that song, with touching somebody that intensely, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool. Want to get a little bit. Well, let me ask the first question. The first obvious question. Two first obvious questions. Any more videos coming for the album?
I'm not sure. I hope so. It's a budget thing at the moment, but
Sure.
definitely we'll try to do another lyric video because those are super fun to do and they're
Yeah.
not very budget intensive. But some of these songs are so visual. I would really love to do something like Fake would be a really cool video. And then we also have a track that is not released yet that I think we might release as a video because it's off the album, but it's very even it almost more than like a radio song. It's like a video song.
Okay. Cool. Definitely. And touring plans. Are we taking? You know, you talked about how you've got a bunch of players together now. Are you guys rehearsing to go out on tour?
We are rehearsing right now to prep for tour. We are in talks with a few people about some stuff for the fall. Hoping to get a little bit of stuff around LA again in the summer. But yeah, we're waiting on some stuff for fall.
Cool.
But
Cool.
the hope for this year is to be touring.
Excellent. Want to go back a little bit, just talk about you for a little bit. I took a few notes on some interviews and some stuff that I saw with you. Um, you described yourself as sort of a young child, but an old soul, even when you were young, I saw in one interview.
I do feel that way, but I don't remember saying that, but I probably did. I've always I always had sort of an old soul. The way I think hasn't really changed very much from when I was younger to now. I've sort of always been kind of a weirdo.
Me too. Me too. And you started out writing poetry, and that led you to writing lyrics?
I think I always wrote poetry when I was younger. I didn't think before I knew like songwriting was an option. So I did like I sang, I did theater, and I wrote poetry. And then as I started to get into listening to, I started going to this singer-songwriters night when I was really young.
Right.
And that sort of inspired me to start putting the two that I can do the two. It's like, performance art, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so that's sort of how I moved that direction. I was always interested in those two things sort of separately. And then when I realized I could do perform my own words was pretty exciting for me.
Cool. I always like to ask this question just sort of out of curiosity. With liking to write poetry and then eventually getting into lyrics and stuff in school, were you like a fan of English class? Were you one of these that sort of
Yeah.
got into it?
Yeah, for sure. I got we would do these things where we had to read like out loud, like plays and stuff.
Hmm.
And I would be so shy because I felt so connected to it. And I knew that everyone makes fun of you if you're really into anything in high school.
Yeah.
So yes, I really liked English class. I really always got lost in stories and books and images, and I still do. I love reading.
Who are some of your favorite authors?
I really like David Sedaris. I love Stephen King.
Mm,
The Dark Tower books are some of my favorite.
yeah,
Chuck Palahniuk.
cool. Now you bring up Stephen King. You're also a big horror movie fan.
I
Um,
do
did
like horror movies.
did you watch any of the Leprechaun movies this past weekend for St. Patrick's Day?
I saw a preview for a Leprechaun movie this weekend, but I have watched a Leprechaun movie last St. Patrick's Day.
Very cool. My movie of choice for every St. Patrick's Day is The Commitments. Have you ever seen that?
No,
You have never seen The Commitments?
no.
It's about a guy in Ireland who puts together a soul band. They
Oh,
do.
I'm writing it down right now.
You've got to see it. Anyone in a band, this is absolutely dead on, balls on accurate. It's called The Commitments. Fabulous movie.
Okay, I
Fabulous
just
movie.
added it to my list.
Excellent. Um, I'm hoping I got the name of this group right. I think this is one of your first ones. Elana J and the Grinders.
Yeah, that was my band in New York before I came out here. So I guess that's sort of our last show was probably about like 6 years ago.
Yeah. Now, were you guys doing similar stuff to what you're doing now, or were you doing
Different. It
covers
was more
originally?
hard rock band. It was really cool. It was a real mix. Everyone sort of had different music tastes, and it was really, really fun to write with that band. Everyone was super talented. But we all had our own stuff going on too.
Mm,
Like I started it with my friend who's like a crazy classical and piano player, and she also played in the band. And like uh, she actually was the one who got me to start because I was doing theater for a while and
yeah.
like acting and stuff like that. And she got me to start writing music again. We would do these she'd be like, you have 15 minutes. Here's a melody, go. And I'd be like, okay. And it was really good practice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really fun band to be in. We played in the East Village a lot. We played around Manhattan. I actually came out here a little bit before I moved here to work on a couple of our songs with Nick Rowe to kind of see how, to get someone else's take on them. And then from working with him, I decided that a whole new project was what I wanted to do.
Cool. Now, you talked briefly about that singer-songwriter night. That was in a club that your dad owned at the time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody, that came through go on to any type of stardom? Did any type of big stars come in that you got to sort of rub shoulders with during that time?
Not really. I was super young. I remember the Nine Inch Nails had a party there, but I
Really?
was not allowed to go. I just remember hearing my parents talk about it. They had like a pretty sounded like a kick-ass party at the time, but
Oh, bet it
um
was.
yeah. No, like I guess he opened it when I was like in first grade and he had it till I was like 17. So I was in and out of there a lot, but it became it had like a bunch of different iterations. Like it was a bluesy kind of bar for a while. Then it became sort of goth at the end, which was interesting.
Hmm.
I feel like that happens in New York sometimes though, like bars kind of have to keep branding
Inventing
or just a
themselves, yeah.
different group sort of takes over. I don't know. But
Yeah.
no, I didn't meet anyone crazy, but I got to hear a lot of great music and it was fun. It was a fun time.
Cool. Then when you got to LA though, you got to do some open mic stuff at the Viper Club. What was that like? I mean, this sort of must have prepped you pretty good for that, or was it different?
Yeah. Yeah, the Viper Room was awesome. It's actually how I made most of my friends here in the beginning. I came here and I sort of didn't really know what I was doing. I was working with Nick. That was sort of like I needed to like get my claws sort of into the music scene. And I think here it's actually pretty accessible. I just started doing these jams at the Viper Room and met some really cool people. Some of my band is actually friends that I met through doing these jams. It was every Monday. And then like Tuesdays, we would go to Whiskey A Go Go for the jam there. It was a fun time. I don't think it's happening anymore after COVID, but it was fun. I think I did that for like 2 years, just pretty regularly.
Nice. I was reading some of your influence as well. Of course, your parents got you to, you mentioned like Jethro Tull, then you got into like
Mhm.
Alanis Morissette. And then
Mhm.
another vocalist that you talked about who has kind of slipped through the cracks now, but I saw her live back when she was her Relish came out was Joan Osborne.
Mhm.
Fabulous. Have you ever got to meet her, sing with her, do anything
I
with her?
no, I saw her live once though with my mom. Probably like I don't know. It had to have been a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Time is funny. It had to have been
Yeah, it
over like
sure
I
is. It
think it was like
sure
over
is.
15 years ago, or maybe definitely over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I know she had a cold and she still sounded great.
Yeah.
I think she has great lyrics and just super visual lyrics. And when I was younger, I would listen to her a lot because I just thought she was kind of like some of it was haunting. I thought it was like a very emotional journey when you listen to her stuff.
Yeah. I love Dracula Moon off of Relish. I thought that was fabulous. Fabulous song. Um, Speaking of your vocals though, you worked with Melissa Cross, who really helped you find your voice. She was like a vocal coach for you.
I mean, I've known her since I was a little kid. She ran those singer-songwriter nights at my dad's club.
Okay.
So I grew up with her sort of as like a family friend, sort of like aunt-like. She
Hmm.
even helped me when I was going to college. She helped me with my college monologues, like to get in for theater. But she has been my voice coach on and off since I was a preteen.
Cool. Cool. The other couple of things I just want to bring up, just sort of to flesh this out a little bit. I read a very fascinating interview that you just recently did for like a tattoo website publication, something like that, where you talked about some of your tattoos and stuff that you'd
Yeah.
gotten and how they're a tribute to people or commemorate things in your life. And I thought that was really, really awesome. Do you have anything upcoming that you're planning on getting?
I am planning on sleeving my whole leg. Right now I only have my thigh done. I mean, so that's the next thing. I have some ideas. I'm actually trying to find a place to do it now. But these are more going to be, actually, I guess they are commemorating, but they're not for people. They're very much like marking time. A lot of my tattoos
Nice.
mark time, and some of them have marked people. And in that interview, I did mention that I cover up tattoos a lot because I'm a little impulsive. And
Yeah, I read about one. We won't talk
yeah,
about it. I was like, Elana, what were you thinking?
I know. Uh, you
Uh,
know, if you're
yeah,
young,
I
you can
know.
do stupid things.
Yeah, you know, it happens.
And I
The other
covered it up with something cool.
nice, nice. The other thing I noticed in a lot of your pictures, you have a dog with you all the time. Are you a big dog person, big pet person?
Yes, that's my dog Georgia. She's actually right here.
Oh, cool.
She comes most places with me. The band loves her. She's just like I would dogs. I've always had dogs. I got her about 3 years ago. She was like living on Skid Row, and I saw her online, and she had just been rescued, and she's just the love of my life. I love her very much. I take her around like she's a small dog. It's very strange, but I hope to get more involved with pit bull rescue and things like that in the future because I just think dogs are one of the greatest joys.
Cool. Excellent. Yes, we have two. They usually put a cameo in on most interviews that I do, but I haven't heard them yet. Uh, so going forward now, you're putting the band together to take out on tour with you. Is this going to be a band that's going to go into the studio next time with you when you start recording? Have you guys recorded anything yet, or?
We haven't recorded anything yet, but yes, I think um, I'm going to open that up to them. Um, we've right now just been rehearsing stuff that the album, trying to get ready to do shows. But I am very open to having a more collaborative experience with this band because I
Excellent.
loved writing with my band in New York. It's very different than writing with a producer. I like both ways, and I think you get sort of a different vibe each time. And I think it's cool when people can add their little spice on things, at least
Mhm.
having them play on the record for sure.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to try and self-produce in the future? Are you happy working with a producer like Nick, or where do you see that going?
For now, I don't. I really do like working with Nick. I'm open to working with other people as well, but I think the process with Nick is really enjoyable and a really fun collaborative experience. And I think he's a genius. So like I don't think I'm going to produce anything. I think I would be let down by something I would produce versus what he could produce at this moment in time.
You're able to go to him and say, "Hey, Nick, I've got this sound in my head or this part,"
Yep.
and he's able to find it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's very impressive.
Very, very cool. We're talking with Elena Justin of Motive Black here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. I always like to finish up with silly questions, but before I do that, while we're still, semi-serious here, is there anything that I didn't ask you? Is there anything that you haven't been asked in any of these interviews that you wanted to talk about? You got the floor.
I think you've covered it all. This is actually the first time I've discussed lyrics in particular with an interviewer. And I enjoy that. And I love that you paid attention to what I was actually saying in the
Oh,
song.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I was happy to have the lyric sheet with it. I wish, when you get these downloads, you don't always get the lyric sheet. Or actually,
Mhm.
no, I had the CD, so I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Lyrics are huge for me. Huge for me. Very cool. All right, are you ready for some silly questions? I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked before.
Go for it.
Um, Pick a television show. If you could have a song off of Auburn placed in a television show, what television show would you pick?
Hmm. What television shows are on now?
Yeah, it is if you watch TV.
Well, I do watch TV, but I'm like kind of like I binge watch old stuff.
Okay.
Uh, what have I been watching as of late? My mind is a blank.
Okay. We can come back to that. If you think of something, just go ahead and shout
I'll
it
think.
out. You said you're a big reader. Title of the last book you read.
Um, The Seven Husbands of something. It's like a bestseller right now.
Okay. Okay.
It's by my bed. I'm just not by it right now. It was
Okay.
good.
Cool. Do you usually travel heavy or light?
Light
Okay. Um, choice of household chores, dishes or laundry?
dishes. I hate doing laundry.
Okay. Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Um, creepy crawlers or easy bake oven, but I burnt myself on both many times, so I don't know. I'm a glutton for punishment.
All right. We'll stick with your youth for a moment. Give us something that decorated your teenage bedroom.
I had System of a Down concert posters.
Very cool. Favorite city you've ever been to?
I mean, New York is my favorite city.
Okay. All right, there you go. Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you what then, if you could blink and appear anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Somewhere sunny right now because I'm over this rain. Maybe Jamaica. I used to go there a lot as a kid, and I haven't been in years. So some beach would be great.
All right. Favorite topping for your pizza? Being in New York, you gotta have pizza, right?
Yeah, I like olives and pepperoni.
Olives and pepperoni. Okay. Would you rather have the power to be invisible or read minds?
Invisible, but neither really. I don't need to know what other people are saying about me. That's none of my business, you know?
Exactly. All right. Now you said you were into wrestling a while ago. Who's your favorite old school wrestler then?
I remember, I guess like I forget how all the guys were like really into The Rock when I was
Okay.
a kid. So I guess that's the most nostalgic.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. What is a day off from music like for you? If you have a day where you're not going to record, you're not going to write, you're just going to take a sort of a day off from music, or do you even do that?
I definitely do that. I hang out with my dog and my fiance. We do a lot of hiking. We go camping a lot. And that I like to be away from things. Really turn my mind off when I'm not doing music because I feel like you can get caught up in so many mundane things.
Hmm.
So it's nice to just be out in nature and recenter yourself.
Absolutely. Last one, and this is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a biopic of your life, what actress would you pick to play you? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
I would like maybe I feel like if they have to sort of resemble you,
Hmm.
it would be like a young Courtney Cox or Kristen Stewart vibe,
Hmm.
though
Yeah,
I
I
think those would be good options.
I definitely could see that. Absolutely, definitely. Very cool. Well, Elena, this has been fun. Once again, we've been chatting with Elena Justin of Motive Black. The album Auburn is out now. You can get it everywhere. And it's a fabulous, fabulous album. I love listening to it. It will get many plays. Wish you the best of success in the future. Once you start the tour, may all your travels be safe and your shows sold out.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Take care and thank you so much for your time.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.